Week 15 sleepers and streamers. The fantasy playoffs are here, so now more than ever, we gotta get these right. Pressure's on, Sam. We hit 5 out of 7 last week, including 3 for 3 for you. Let's be even better today. Who's your first sleeper?
3 for 3 for me last week. I
Right.
hope I can duplicate it. I'm really, really digging deep into the bag for this one.
That's what we do.
Or for at least 2 of these. I will start out with I'm gonna do, it's not really a 2 for 1, but I am gonna tack one on at the end of this. My first one is Sean Tucker from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This, of course, is with the caveat that Bucky Irving does not play.
Right.
I think it's one of those situations where Tampa Bay is going to want to pound the ball, and also that'll free up Rachaad White to catch more passes from the backfield, which is what he's best at. And you know, Tucker is an explosive player. He's got a 4.3 40. You know, in his last game last week, he had a 34-yard scamper, finished the game with 3 carries for 47 yards. That's a 15.7 yards per attempt. Obviously skewed by that long run. But nonetheless, the fact that he can do those long runs is why I'm picking him right now, because a lot of people, you know, especially after a game on Thursday that saw a bunch of duds get pulled up, there's people going to be looking for home runs and not floors. And Sean Tucker has the ability to hit that home run. He's only 3% rostered. So he's available in your league. He's going up against the Chargers defense that they're going to try to run the ball on before they start, you know, getting all pass happy. And he seems like there's not enough tape on him that they might be able to pound the rock inside for a while. So as long as Irving's out, I think Tucker will have a good game.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be in the mix here. He's not gonna get the full Bucky Irving workload. I think it'll be, Rachaad White's show, but we're gonna have plenty of opportunities for Sean Tucker. I think we've seen Rachaad White performs better when the full weight of the backfield isn't on him, where he has that running mate. He's more efficient. So they're going to want to mix in Sean Tucker. And we've seen, like you mentioned, we've seen Sean Tucker have success this season when given opportunity. Week 6 against the Saints, he was the RB1 overall, and he's taken 4 of his 33 carries have gone for at least 15 yards. So he has that explosiveness that you mentioned.
Yeah, I think he's only got 2 other games where he had 5 or more carries, and in those games he had a 5.8 yard average and a 9.7 yard average. And like you said, the 27 pointer in week 6.
Yeah.
And Bucky, a lot of what he was doing was pounding up the middle. He wasn't playing the Rachaad White style. So I think we see some 2 backfields there. Excuse me. So I think he's got a good shot at it. I'll go ahead and throw my my little add on to that. As long as I'm talking about somebody who could excel with someone else out, and because we always have to mention a tight end, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for Jordan Akins if David Njoku does not play. And right now it sounds like he's sincerely up in the air.
Yeah.
He says he thinks he could. I didn't write down any of Aiken's stats or anything because they're unremarkable capable of, with the exception of maybe one game, catching a touchdown. But with Cedric Tillman out as well, and some guys not showing up, it's just going to be the Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, and possibly Akins show there. So that one's in my back pocket too. If I find out at the last minute that I don't have a tight end, I think Akins is someone you can go after.
Yeah. And well, speaking of David Njoku being out, Cedric Tillman being out, you did mention Elijah Moore. I'm going to go with Elijah Moore as my first sleeper. We've got those two guys are out or possibly out. Tillman, we know for sure. And Njoku, we'll find out. But likely, he's probably not going to play. And the Kansas City defense, they are strong in the run game and versus outside wide receivers, but they're not so good. They struggle against, the inside opportunities for pass catchers, whether it's tight ends or slot receivers. The Chiefs give up they're the number one easiest matchup for slot wide receivers, according to opponent adjusted fantasy points. And they're number 3 for tight ends. So there's Akins, and here's Elijah Moore in the slot. So Moore is especially intriguing if Njoku is out, because Cleveland's going to exploit the middle of the defense, and Moore, and not Moore plus David Njoku, will be able to exploit that. And 4 of Moore's last 6 games, he's had 8 or more targets, including 2 games with 12 or more targets. And the only 2 games during that stretch that he didn't reach 8 targets were against the Steelers. So we can wipe that away. Elijah Moore is going to have at least 8 targets in this game, maybe double-digit targets. He's going to thrive. They're not going to be able to work the run game. They're not going to be able to work on the boundaries. They're going to feed the middle of the field, and that's where Elijah Moore is going to dominate. And he's only rostered 21% of leagues.
I mean, honestly, that's how you keep the Chiefs honest. Is attacking the middle of that zone. And what I like about Elijah Moore is his ability to be keeping his eyes on his quarterback, so that he can try to get him out of trouble. So he'll break off a route just in order to try to get in a right place with nobody around, where the quarterback can hit him for a gain, whether it's the necessary gain they need for a first, or at least positive yardage or whatever like that. Elijah excels at that kind of thing. So, when you've got a middle of the field that's wide open, then that's the kind of player you want there.
Right. What you got?
I will go. Sorry, I was looking at something else there. I'm going to stick with running back, and another one that's a little far down the list, flying under the radar. I think I mentioned that Sean Tucker is only 3% rostered. Kendry Miller is 11% rostered. And I have to admit, part of this is because I really like Kendry Miller. And I've been waiting for him and waiting. But last week was, really exciting. He got 10 carries, which was what I was even more excited about than the fact that he put up 32 yards and a touchdown. The fact that they gave him the ball 10 times. Miller's speed is unremarkable, I guess, is what you would say, in the 40-yard dash times. I don't think he ran one at the combine, but he sent in tape on it. It's unremarkable. It's like 4.5. But all the scouts said he runs with a frenetic pace, has crazy good lateral movement in the line at making people miss, and does have the home run threat to him. So that, I don't know that I'm buying into the slow 40-yard pass if you got scouts saying, no, he can break it off and run away from people. Listen, Kamara's not getting any younger, and there have been times this season that he really needs a breather, and they need to protect him. I was going to say for the playoffs, but playoffs, which is not exactly true. But they want to see what they've got in Kendra Miller going forward, along with Kamara. So once again, just like I said with Tucker, I think there's a chance at running two backs out there,
Mhm.
or just completely giving Alvin a breather on the sideline. And if he got 10 carries last week, I think he could get 12 to 13 to 14 this week.
Yeah.
And just based on the eye test, what I saw last week out of him, um, he looks like raring to go, and obviously he's well rested, coming back off that injury, and we may never know why what's his face, the former coach, didn't like him. But he certainly seems ready now. So for a guy that scored 17 touchdowns his last 2 years in college, I'm liking Kendra Miller.
Yeah, I liked Kendra Miller a lot coming out of TCU. And the opportunity, I agree with that. I think the opportunity is going to be there for him to operate in a split backfield. We've seen, Kamara, he's kind of, racking up injuries and injuries and injuries over the second half of the season. He's been on the injury report all week. But I think, they're going to be in evaluation mode at this point in the season. Realistically, even though they're still in striking distance for the playoffs because of their division, realistically they're out of it. And
Yeah.
I think they have to know that. They are going to want to see. They haven't had an opportunity to see Kendra Miller operate in a significant portion of the season. He's plays a game or two and then he's hurt. He plays a game or two and then he's hurt. So now it might be your chance over the next few weeks, including this week, for them to see, all right, let's see what we have in Kendra. We just signed Alvin Kamara to a multi-year extension, 6 weeks ago. Let's save him, not put a ton of work on him. Let's give some opportunities to Kendra, see what he's got, save Alvin Kamara for next year, and then we have some opportunities.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that David Carr, not that he's anything to write home about, isn't out there. So they don't want to put the ball in Jake, what's his name, Hainer. They don't want to put it in his hands until they have to, until they're way behind. So they're going to try to control that clock and run the ball as much as possible.
Right. I agree. All right, let's go to how about quarterback sleeper for this week.
What? A quarterback?
Caleb Williams in the fantasy playoffs. We're going to trust Caleb Williams in the fantasy playoffs. He's 62% rostered, but I know a lot of people are not starting him at this point. Despite the struggles, though, he is QB 13 on the season. And prior to week 14, he had back-to-back games of top 5 performances. He's averaging 35 pass attempts per game over the last 6. He's averaging, this is where I like it, he's averaging 42 rushing yards per game over the last 4 weeks. He's got the weapons, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's playing well the last few weeks. Roman Dunze starting to come on. He's just coming off a 2-touchdown game. We look at the matchup. They just played against the Vikings a few weeks ago in week 12. In that game, Caleb Williams threw for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 33 rushing yards. He was the QB4 overall against the Vikings, and they play the Vikings again in week 15. Game script is going to be in his favor. They're going to play from behind. The Vikings are going to get out to a lead. The way Sam Darnold's been playing, they're going to get out to a big lead. That's going to force the Bears to be in comeback mode, throwing the ball, scrambling with Caleb Williams. There's going to be opportunities for points in this game for Caleb Williams. I'm going to trust him.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb's been playing reasonably well of late. He's still got a couple of those games that are, kind of rookie, where he makes some rookie mistakes and everything, and that's to be expected. But he's also the type of guy to go for the gusto when he can, and isn't that sort of what you want? Some of the times, obviously, you don't want him just throwing picks all day, but you do want him to hit a couple like big downfield passes, um, as well as striking, like you said, underneath Keenan Allen, underneath. Just move the ball. Just move the ball and set up. Swift is banged up, so
Mhm.
I don't know what's going to happen in the backfield there. But and of course he's got the floor for running. So
That's right. All right. Who you got?
I will go with my last one. I'm not digging as deep here. So I guess this is more of this is a green light to start for somebody that might be on your bench, but is not typically starting for you, and that's Quentin Johnston. He is only owned in 40% of leagues, so he is available in a lot of leagues. I like Johnston this week for a couple reasons. Number one, if McConkey is out, um, Quentin Johnston is undoubtedly the number one. And even if McConkey plays, that might actually help him, because people are going to, follow that McConkey coverage inside, and Quentin's going to get more opportunity for one-on-ones on the outside. And I can appreciate that. Johnson's got he's tied for fourth in the league with 7 touchdowns. That's the same as Justin Jefferson. That's the same as Jordan Addison.
He's no Nick Westbrook-Akine.
He's no Nick Westbrook-Akine. But he's also better than a bunch of the other guys. And if their run game has been just kind of since Dobbins went out,
Mhm.
Gus Edwards, bless his heart, but he's just not a game changer. You'll get you 40 yards and a cloud of dust on a given afternoon. So I think they're going to throw the ball. I'm looking for a big game from Justin Herbert against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. And Quentin Johnston, regardless of what other receivers are on the field, I believe is going to be a heavy part of that and should find pay dirt.
Yeah, it's a fantastic matchup. The Buccaneers, they are so susceptible to the passing game. But people are going to trust you. This is a risky proposition here to play Quentin Johnson. I hope you don't drop the ball on this one.
Oh, I see what you did there.
You see what
I see what you did there. No, I'll just catch it and take it for 14.27 yards.
All right. Well, I'm going to stay in that same game because I like the backfield in this game. I do like the receiver.
Why?
I like the passing game. I just there's going to be points scored in this game. I think there's going to be points. It's going to be a fantasy points party. But Gus Edwards is, 3 yards and a cloud of dust. So that's why we're going to go Kamani Vidal.
It's finally going to happen?
He just outsnapped Gus Edwards 53% to 43% in week 14. He gained 34 yards on just 8 touches versus a tough Kansas City defense, while Gus Edwards, gained 36 yards on 10 carries. This could be the start of Kamani Vidal taking over the Chargers backfield. He has a lot more juice than Gus Edwards. He's a big, explosive running back, and he adds value in the passing game where Gus Edwards and Hassan Haskins do not. And we saw that in his NFL debut, his first touch of his NFL career. Kamani Vidal took a wheel route up the sideline, down the field throw from Justin Herbert, 40 yards for a touchdown. He can make plays in the passing game. He can make explosive plays in the running game. We haven't seen it yet, but we know he's got it in him. J.K. Dobbins obviously still out. The matchup. The Buccaneers defense has been kind of a solid run defense over the last month, but they're still the 10th easiest matchup for fantasy running backs according to adjusted fantasy points allowed. This could be a shootout performance from both sides. Buccaneers score a ton of points. Chargers offense has been hot. The Chargers are favored by 3 points at home. That could mean it's going to be more rushing opportunities for Kamani Vidal, for Gus Edwards. If they're playing from ahead in this game, this could be the Kamani Vidal breakout game that we have been waiting for since.
Well,
June.
let's say he breaks out and plays well for the next couple weeks. If Dobbins were to come back week 17, who starts?
Dobbins. But we're in week 15.
Huh?
But we're in week 15.
Right. I was just curious, like if Vidal blows up the next 2 weeks, when Dobbins comes back, who starts?
Kamani Vidal.
Because he's eligible to come off on the 17th.
The 17th, yeah. I think it would be Vidal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but obviously this is, these are deep plays,
Yeah. Yeah, deep plays.
All right, so we got through our sleepers. Why don't we grab a few questions in the chat before we get to our flaming hot, bold predictions that we didn't come up with just before we went live?
That's right.
That's right.
Well, he didn't. I did.
That's right. All right. Why don't we grab Clutch Game 09 asking Elijah Moore, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Reed, who he's starting one of these wide receivers. We talked about Elijah Moore. He's a nice sleeper this week. I like Jacoby Myers a lot. Got a decent matchup against the Falcons. Jaden Reed coming off a 0 game. I'm going to lean Jacoby Myers in this one.
I am too. I've got him ranked just outside my top 20 in wide receivers. And a pretty decent amount above either of the next two. So I will go with Jacoby Myers as well. Although I'll be the first to admit, every time I don't pick Jaden Reed,
yeah,
that motherfucker just blows up.
Well, I mean, we saw a couple months ago when Cortland Sutton had his 0 game, then they just fed him and fed him and fed him after that, and he's blown up ever since.
Right.
Maybe that happens with Jaden Reed.
It could. But yeah, I'm with you.
How about Kyle Pitts or Cade Otton?
It's Cade Otton.
Yeah.
For me, until Pitts does anything. And I know Tyler had one earlier that was Otton versus Hawkinson. And I've got Hawkinson in that matchup.
How about Javonte Williams, Kendre Miller, Tyler Algier, Jeremy McNichols, Trey Benson? Irving is out, and I have to make this gnarliest of starts.
Mad props for gnarly.
Do we go Kendre Miller here? We saw before the bye week in Denver, it was starting to be maybe a Jaleel McLaughlin takeover.
I think you just don't know in Denver ever.
Yeah, it's Tyler Beatty, it's Jaleel McLaughlin, it's
like
it's Audric Estime.
The more you think you know, the less you actually do.
I'm pretty sure before every game, Sean Payton has like a little wheel in his offense. He just spins the wheel, whichever running back name it lands on, that's the guy that week.
It's a good one. You know what? I'm gonna really go outside my comfort zone here and say Tyler Algier.
Okay, after all that talk about Kendre Miller, we're gonna go Tyler Algier.
Well, I just think that Tyler Algier, like we count on him to get the carries. You know what I mean? Kendra Miller, I'm telling you as best I can that he's gonna get carries. But I don't want to be completely wrong. And with another option like Algier, who sometimes is used as goal line back, who's used to spell Bijan, I like Algier there.
I'm gonna go Javonte. How about would you flex Rico Dowdle over Lad McConkey even if he's going to play?
Am I
Even
okay?
if Lad's going to play, let's say we get the news Lad McConkey's playing, would we play Rico Dowdle over Lad McConkey? No, not against the Buccaneers. We're gonna play Lad.
Yeah.
It's a risk, though. I mean, we're in the fantasy playoffs.
Well, and I mean, Dowdle's played really well.
Yeah, he has. Everybody's talking about Rico Dowdle this week, which means it's probably not going to happen.
People are starting to talk about Rico Dowdle as a potential league winner.
Yeah, which means he's going to tank. Because that's just what happens when people start talking.
I'm going to check my rankings here real quick. I don't think I need to.
I have a hard time sitting Rico Dowdle, but I also have a really, really hard time leaving Lad McConkey on my bench against the Buccaneers. I just can't.
I mean, but you got a hard time with Rico Dowdle against Carolina. You know what I mean?
They've been playing better.
Carolina can't stop anybody.
What did Saquon do against him last week? I don't know. I don't remember.
I will say that according to my rankings, it's easily McConkey. I'm a little surprised actually. But I've got McConkey just outside of the top 20 in as far as flex goes, and Dowdle down at 39.
All right. Hit me with your bold prediction.
My bold prediction?
What you got? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I remember it. Come on, man.
Been thinking about this one for days.
I made very particular notes. You guys can read that about as well as I can. My bold prediction for this week: Broncos Colts, Chiefs Browns, Raiders Falcons, Chargers Bucks. All 4 AFC West teams are going to lose.
Ooh. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, I said it.
Even the Chiefs. The Browns, really? All right. My bold prediction for this week. So, Trey McBride. We see Trey McBride just dominating in every facet of the game except for touchdowns. He's got 80 catches. He's got 106 targets. No touchdowns. He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Don't correct me. No receiving touchdowns. And the record, he's this close. He could hit it this week. The record for most catches in a season without a touchdown is 86. And that was by Deontay Johnson in 2022. Trey McBride is not going to be the next Deontay Johnson. But my bold prediction is not that Trey McBride is going to score a touchdown. It's that over the next 3 weeks in the fantasy playoffs, Trey McBride is going to score 5 touchdowns.